All right, guys, so this is my 1 week ownership of the 2023 G80 M3 6-speed manual, Isle of Man green. And I'm going to say one thing, as much as I hate the front end grille like a lot of people, it's actually not as bad and offensive on this color. So far, the car's been really great, and the great thing about it is that I get up in the morning and I start it up, and the car starts up with no misfires. I don't have to scan it out and clear codes like my Alpha. It's just a real pleasurable experience, and a couple of things I want to talk about. I washed the wheels 3 times already. These wheels get extremely filthy, but check this out by design. You see how the spoke goes to the leading edge? Okay, usually you would just have the barrel go straight in, so you have this little pocket, look, where your finger goes, so it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to clean those. This has incredible brakes, huge 6-piston brakes, 15-plus-inch rotors. It stops phenomenal, and I'll talk more about it when I get in the car and drive. The one thing that happened, I got a lot of brake squeal because the brakes aren't bedded in yet. It only has, I think, 340 miles in the car since I've got it last week. But other than that, I love the color with the full carbon pack. You can see that there. They didn't do carbon on the rockers, but I may do aftermarket carbon pieces for that. I'm not sure yet. But down here, you got some really cool carbon, which I really like. And I'm going to do a carbon front spoiler because I just think it really needs it. I'm going to do some more mods to it. But like I said, we're going into winter. It's probably going to snow any day now. I already designed a whole new grill assembly. I'm actually just working on 3D scanning it. I bought a used grill on eBay. I'm also looking to buy a used bumper. I'm going to be working on that stuff, and I'll show you guys some progress on the Auto Fanatic channel. I'm actually kind of glad that I did that because it kind of gives me a really cool project, interesting project to work on. You can see here the carbon fiber exposed roof, carbon spoiler. It's just cool, and the interior is really cool. Now, these seats are a little bit of a pain in the ass to get out of, but when you're in them, they're great. They're heated, super comfortable. Nobody's really complaining, but if you have to drive like your elderly parents or anybody that's really big, they're gonna probably complain and hate this car. And a couple of things too. Like I said, in the earlier version of this car, you were able to get leather over here, but with the constant inflation and the supply shortages, they're kind of cutting back. Every auto manufacturer is cutting back, so you can't get the leather. I don't really love this, but nothing really I could do about it, and same thing with the dash. But the tech, I absolutely love it. I didn't think I was gonna like the tech, but ever since I've been driving this car now for a week, my Alfa Romeo was like an antiquated dinosaur. That's how awesome this car is. You know, we're gonna talk about it more when we get in the car now. We're gonna go for a little bit of a ride, and I'll tell you some of the things I love and some of the things I hate, and I will conclude this video. And as ownership progresses, I'm gonna constantly keep putting videos up because a lot of people out there may be interested in the car. Maybe there's some things that I'll mention that may not be talked about by other journalists or other YouTube channels. And I kind of want to give everybody as much information as possible. But, I mean, this is the coolest thing ever. I mean, the gloss carbon seats, the orange leather. I actually think maybe it could have used an insert on the doors in orange, but I don't know. It kind of still looks good. I'm not complaining about that too much, but it's super roomy back here. I mean, like I said, the size of this car is not really the size of an M3. It's really the size of an E60 M5, and I've had that car. One of my favorite M cars I've ever owned was my E60. I had a 2009 E60 M5, and I put 35,000 miles in that car, and I know that car extremely well. And this feels like a modern interpretation minus the amazing V10 engine. This engine, though, is really good. Ton of power, great torque. It pulls like a freaking freight train. It sounds okay. You know, like I said, this car, BMW doesn't make cars that are based on emotion like Ferrari, Lamborghini. You know, you got that raw sound. There's a lot of that emotion in the design and engineering. This is really all about engineering and technology. So when I bought this car, this wasn't planned. I wasn't looking at these cars. I wasn't even thinking about building one. But when this deal happened and my car broke down on Tuesday, okay, and I almost got killed because the ABS module failed, and I mentioned it in my first video, but a lot of you guys, you know, Alpha fans are all mad at me, but if you guys went through what I went through in 4 years owning that car with no customer support, no loan a car, dealers that suck, that break the car even further, roadside won't even pick the car up, I gotta say to myself, like, what the hell am I doing with this car? As much as I love it, I have all these other cars in my stable that are awesome performance cars. I don't need this anymore. I need a car that's reliable, and I wanted a new experience, and this thing just happened to be available. That same day I went to go test drive a 21 pre-owned, this car became available, and I grabbed it immediately. There was no hesitation because this is exactly the way I would have ordered this car if I sat down a year ago and I spec'd one out. So this one doesn't have like the laser lights. It doesn't have the carbon ceramic brakes, but it has every option that I would have spec'd, primarily the color. The carbon package, the Kalahari orange, the carbon buckets. It doesn't have heads-up display because honestly, I had that on my E60 M5. It was an expensive option. I never used it. I don't like heads-up displays. So I know certain options that are worth it and they'll add value to my life, and a lot of options just won't. So I'm not gonna go spend money on things that are really not gonna add value to my life in owning the car and enjoying the car. So the fact that this car was spec'd exactly the way I would have ordered it, it was just fate. It was just totally fate for me to get this car, and so far I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it, and like I said, I can't wait to do some mods, and there's a couple of things that I want to do to it. And look at that thing. It just looks, the color. Never in my life did I think I would own a car this loud and bright, but for some reason it just works. But I have a killer design of a new grille section that I designed. Now I'm just going to be working on how could I produce it. I could produce a one-off for myself. That's not an issue, but I want to produce it specifically to manufacture it and sell it to the G80 community, and it's going to be a real great option because I saw the options on there right now. There's a lot of carbon fiber options. They all look the same. A lot of them are coming from China, so they're probably going to turn green in a couple of months of seeing outside. But I'm trying to do something a little bit different, and that's something I'm really good at, is the design and manufacturing thing. Kind of upset that they didn't do like a multiple piston caliper in the back, but Mercedes doesn't do that either on the AMGs, even if you get the carbon ceramics. Another thing too, I love the fact that the diffuser is carbon, and then you have the gloss black. It kind of breaks it up, and you got the gloss black exhaust tips. I really, really like that. Love the taillights design. Definitely better looking. Like I said, I like the look of the car all around. The front of it is still, I'm still adjusting to it. Like I said, it's not a sexy, emotional, Italian design front end, but I think when I do some tweaks to it, I think I'm gonna make this thing look a hell of a lot better. So enough of that. Let's get in the car. We'll talk some more about it, and we'll go for a little bit of a drive. We're going to just set up the menu. We're going to be in Sport Plus on the engine, chassis comfort, steering comfort, brake comfort. Now, this particular car in comfort mode with the chassis is stiffer than my Alfa Romeo in race mode, even with the DDC coilovers. So that just seems to be the way German cars are tuned, and I'll talk more about it when we're driving. I'm up on one of my favorite roads. Actually, the road that I just did the POV on the Shelby, and I do a lot of videos up here when I come up this way to check out my other cars. So we're gonna see how this car feels. Like I said, it's very cold out. It's like, 35, 40 degrees. The tires are cold. I'm on summer only tires. You can't really get on the car. The car's still brand new. But I just wanna whip through the road and just give you guys a little bit more ownership and update feedback. And I'll compare and contrast, various other cars. But, so far, the car really, to me, feels like my E60 M5. It really does. In terms of the sheer size, the way the car feels, the headroom, the rear passenger room, the transmission is good. I don't love the shifter. A bunch of you guys responded to my first video. I'm going to be replacing the shifter assembly. I just have to do a little bit more research and see what I'm going to do and what's involved doing it. But that's going to be probably one of the first mods that I do, is making this shifter a little bit more tighter and progressive, similar to all my other manual transmission cars that I currently own. But no, the car is pretty cool. It really is. It's comfortable, very well built. The seats are excellent. They're just a pain in the ass to get out of. I got to watch. There's a lot of wet leaves on the road. But it doesn't sound terrible. It doesn't sound exotic. But like I said, this particular car, any of these BMWs, they're not about emotion. Like the Italian cars are all about emotion. That's just what it is. A German car like this is all about the engineering and now tech. It's really what you're paying for, is the engineering and the tech. And the main deciding factor for me was really the customer support, the after-sales support. Like, I signed a document that guarantees me a loaner car if something happens to this car, no matter what. I have not had a loaner car in 4 years with my Alfa Romeo, and they keep the car for 1 week, 2 weeks, 2-3 months. And I can't do that. I kind of need that after-sales support. And that's probably, see, that's a little weird. See, I'm not used to the shifter. I'm pushing it over more like my Shelby, where second gear is. This is a little bit different. But now the car runs good, man. Way more confident than the F80 that I had, or any of the F80s. I remember when I had the F80, I picked it up. I lost control on this road, literally. It was embarrassing. I wasn't doing social media at the time, but I remember it scared the life out of me. Yeah, some of that sound you're hearing is definitely coming through the speakers. It's not the worst, but it's not doing those pops and farts like the Audis and the other BMW turbocharged engines do. But The brakes are incredible. This is like a real braking system. This is not that brake-by-wire where you don't really know what's going on. It has real modulation, gigantic, solid bridged monoblock calipers in the front with 15+ inch rotors. It's just a real braking system. That's really one of the things that I hated for 4 years, is that I didn't have that. You know, I had that braking system on my other cars, but the Alpha with the brake-by-wire, I think it sucks. Even on the new Corvette, I think it sucks as well. But unfortunately, this is where technology's going. But no, this car is cool, man. For the size, I would say this car is about 3 to 5% larger than the Giulia Quadrifoglio, and very similar to the E39 M5 and E60 M5. I had both of those cars in the past. Had those cars brand new. And I think that size for me always seems to have been the car category that I always get, like, you know, E63, E55, Jaguar XJR. So the cars have grown up a lot bigger, and BMW is just kind of badging these things all over the place. Like the M2 is really the size of an M3. This is really the size of the prior M5s. And the new M5 is like the size of an M7, if they even had such a thing. But the engine is phenomenal, really. It's got power for days. Another thing I want to talk about is this has a feature that you can shift it without the clutch. Look, I'll show you right now. So, see, it kind of pops right in. I don't know if that's good for the transmission, but it's a feature that the car comes with. It's not something that I would pretty much use all the time. But one of the things that I loved about this car is the throttle pedal. Now, all modern cars are throttled by wire, which means that it's electronically controlled through sensors and the electronic brake pedal to control to the ECU. This particular car, the way they designed it, it has the same resistance in the pedal and the response of the engine like the Ferrari 355, which is an old school car with a cable and linkage driven actuator to the butterflies to open up the 8 individual throttle bodies in the back of the car. So it actually has that resistance and that snap. And even my GT350R doesn't have that. And it's just one of those things that I noticed immediately when driving this car was it just feels that they did something right with that. The only thing that I'm not in love with, I'm not used to, of course, is the steering. And I'll discuss that more. I'll jump up on the highway in a little bit. Is that the steering doesn't return to center 100%. It goes like about 75, 80%, whereas most cars that I own, it'll snap back 100%. And that's the caster angle, or it's the front end geometry, or it's the way they tuned the EPS motors in the steering rack. So that's just that quick little ride. Let's jump up on the highway. I'll talk some more about it. And this is just going to give you my conclusion of owning the new 2023 G80 M3 with a 6-speed for a week. And like I said, I'm going to be posting updated videos as I learn more about the car. This is pretty easy to figure out. You know, the tech is very, very simple. Just connect your Apple CarPlay. But as I learn more and I find new features of the car, I will post a video, take you guys for a ride, and we'll talk some more about it. So let me get on the other side of town. We'll jump up on the highway and we'll talk some more. I want to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about with that steering angle, the caster angle, that it's not spinning back to center the way I like. All right, guys, so I'm just going to show you what's going on with the steering. Usually this is happening only above speeds 30 miles an hour and above. So look, I'm going into this little corner here. You kind of see how the steering wheel is stuck, and then it hits the bump and then it goes back to center a little bit. So look, it's stuck. Then we go back here. It's going across multiple lanes. And that's one of the things that I just don't love about this, compared to like having the Alfa Romeo for 4 years and all my other cars are sharp and light and dynamic. I don't know why it's like that. If anybody out there that owns these cars, is it an alignment issue? Does it have to break the gears on the rack and pinion? Now, on a conventional rack and pinion, there's a worm drive screw and there's a tension bolt. Now, if you go underneath the car and you tighten up that tension bolt, you will create the same effect on a hydraulically assisted power steering rack. So this is really weird. It could just be a very tight servo, or BMW designed it this way for like high-speed stability in a straight line. I'm not really sure, but look, like I'm in this corner right now, and you can see the steering wheel is stuck. It shouldn't be that way. It should automatically return back to center based on the caster angle and the front end geometry. So I'm gonna pull over, we're gonna conclude and finish my 1 week ownership review of the 2023 BMW M3 in a couple of moments, so stay tuned. I gotta do some acrobatics to get out of these seats. These seats are a pain in the ass. Now, something that I can't figure out on the car, if somebody knows, please contact me. When the car is off, I want the seat to go all the way back to help me get out of the car. Instead, I have to do it manually. I can't find the feature in the menu. I probably have to just call one of the BMW geniuses. But other than that, the car is awesome. I really, really am happy with it. It's pretty different than the Alfa Romeo. Like I said, not saying that the car is bad. The car is not bad. And like I said, if cars all drove and looked and performed the same, for guys like us, that would be really, really boring. I think it's a great new experience. It's an incredible platform. There is an abundance of aftermarket. I'm going crazy. So far, the only thing that I ordered, I hope it comes soon. I got a carbon front spoiler. That's coming. I think I figured out what exhaust I'm going to do. It's a titanium system. I called the vendor in Europe. No ETA when I could get it, but I really, really want to import that ASAP. The only thing I don't like about the driving experience so far is the shifter. That seems to be an easy fix. I'm going to be doing a Rogue engineering shifter upgrade. I just ordered that probably in about a week or two when I get time. Hopefully before Christmas, I'll get that in the car and I'll also do an updated video as well. And then a little thing with the steering, it's a little funky. I'm just not used to it. When you put the steering in comfort mode, it's a little bit more annoying. In sport mode, it seems to get a little bit better with returning back to center, but it's still one of those things I have to get used to it. It's a different car. It's a different experience. I've been driving my other cars for so many years. I just have to adapt to it. But other than that, the chassis is phenomenal. The engine, the power, everything. Like I said, I really think all I have to do to this car is some tasteful mods to make it my own. I have to just inject a little bit more rawness, a little bit more of my personality, a little bit more, you know, visceral, loud, raw sound to it. And I think the exhaust is really going to do pretty much put the icing on the cake. And I think if I am able to get this exhaust, you guys are going to flip out when I do some sound clips because it's not going to sound like this anymore. And it's going to sound very similar to some other cars that you see on the Auto Fanatic channel. So I'm really happy with the car. A little pissed off that they cheaped out on the materials on the dash and the top of the doors because last year's model, you were able to get the full leather. A little upset for a $90,000 car, but this car is awesome. But as far as my feedback so far, what do I say about this car? It's engineered, it's refined, it's telepathic, extremely well built. I absolutely love the color. Some of the best suspension tuning from the factory, you know, BMW M and Porsche, those are pretty much two of the best you're gonna get. Unlike the Alfa Romeo, which was way too soft, this suspension is almost perfect for me, aside from a little bit of the wheel gap. So I'm a little bit confused as far as what I'm gonna do because a lot of guys are doing lowering springs and they're progressive rate lowering springs. And I don't know if I really want to do that because I've been watching a lot of videos and guys are bouncing all over the place with their cars. And that's just not what I want to do. I don't want to really ruin the suspension tuning. It's so damn good from the factory, but I do want to close up the wheel gap. So I may do the KW height adjustable system. I don't know. I'm just spending some time because like I said, this car wasn't planned. I'm spending time now researching and talking to manufacturers, trying to get as much technical data on these upgrades that I want to do as possible so I can make good, educated decisions on my personal car and not have to do things 3, 4, 5 times. But other than that, the brakes are phenomenal. The handling is phenomenal. The grip is phenomenal. This thing puts the power down, unlike my old F80. Even on the Alfa is kind of hard to put the power down too. You got to be careful with the tires. These tires are P0s, not a huge fan of them. I actually ordered Michelin's. There's no ETA, so I'm gonna have to be driving on these for a while. Another thing I want to talk about, regarding the brake squeal that I mentioned in the intro, these brake pads have counterweights on the brake pads to help with a harmonic vibration. They obviously know it's a problem with noise, and General Motors did that 12 years ago on the 5th gen Camaro and on the Cadillac CTS-Vs, and it's an absolute Band-Aid. It doesn't work, so I'm gonna have to pull these calipers off. When I bed them in a little bit more, I mean, I have like less than 400 miles right now because I just drove 40 minutes north and I came back to finish the video. So the brakes and rotors are not fully bed in. You can see them, they're getting bed in, but they're not there yet. These wheels are an absolute bitch to clean. There's just so much detail in them, but they look really, really good and I'm really happy with them. Love the spec, love the car. I have to figure out how to get the seat to go further back when I disable the ignition when I get out of the car, because it's a real pain in the ass for me to get out of the car. That's really my only complaint as far as comfort, is getting out of the car. Getting in the car is easy. Ride quality is great. Audio system's great. Tech is great. The steering is a little funky. Well, I have to get used to it. Not returning back to center. It's not razor sharp. It's a little bit more servo controlled than the Alfa Romeo and a lot of my other cars that I own, but that's just, I have to accept it. It's a new car, new platform, and it's a new experience that I'm going to pretty much be sharing with you guys in the channel. And the shifter. The shifter is a little bit rubbery. I don't really like it. So with the new shifter that I ordered, that's supposed to be correcting the problem. We will see when I put it in the car in a couple of weeks when it gets here. I have had time to actually bring it up to the shop. We got to take it all apart and do it. But other than that, I love the car, super happy with it. And just to leave this off, a lot of people, you know, my Alfa Romeo fans are like, oh, what the hell did you buy this car for? But like I said, go to my first video when I took delivery of this. If you guys put up with the stress, the risk of safety, and the aggravation of owning that Alfa for 4+ years. Even one guy commented the other day, he says, Phil, you're the only one that's kept this car as long as you did out of anybody that he knows, even online or even through personal network. And it's true, I put up with 4+ years of nonsense, and enough is enough. I said, I gotta do something. I gotta get rid of this car. I can't do it anymore. And I'm not saying it's like the QV is a bad car. It's an incredible car. My car, personally, may just have been a lemon, because ever since the water leaked into the front cowl and the computers and the wiring harnesses got damaged with water, the car was never the same. And that's just like owning a flood car. And the car was just too risky, too unreliable, and the service is just not there. That's not saying that I'm not going to buy one again in the future. Don't hold me back against it, because I actually might. But we will see. So right now, I'm just going to be enjoying this for a while, doing the modifications, really, you know, getting a new experience. And like I said, the car's a little bit bigger than the Alfa. I notice it when I park it, but it's really a phenomenal machine. Very, very well built, very well engineered, super telepathic. I actually love the side profile of the car. I love the color combination. Love the interior. You know, there's just a lot I love about it. So no complaints so far. You know, the front end is the controversial bit of the car, but you know, we're going to be messing around with that. This gives me an opportunity to modify it, design something, manufacture it, who knows. But that's going to be definitely a project in early of 2023, so definitely stay tuned to the channel. So thanks for watching this video. As I own the car longer and do more driving and more experiences, I'm going to be posting content on the channel. Maybe I was actually thinking about doing it soon, if I should do daily videos of driving this thing in New York City and all over the area, just driving it daily. I don't know, that just might be a little bit excessive for me to sit down and do all the editing and all that, but we will see. If you guys want to see that, if you're interested in a daily video, post it in the comments below. Maybe I'll do that for you guys after the holidays. But another thing too, I've been trying to get winter tires, nothing available. There's no all seasons available. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I mean, I thought about putting snow tires in the car to do some like winter driving videos, but to be honest with you, I don't really know if I want to risk the car, because I'm still learning, you know, the handling and the limits. I don't really know what the limits are. So I'm not sure if I really want to risk trashing and wrecking my car just to do a freaking couple of videos that really aren't going to earn me any money, because YouTube just doesn't pay any money for stuff like that. So other than that, car is awesome. Stay tuned to the channel. There's going to be much more content on this and all my other cars soon, as weather and of course the holidays permit. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned to the channel for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next one soon. Thanks, guys.